Okay, Judge, we're back.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Okay, Mr. Sturmer, next witness.
Judge, is Melina Gardner on here? She was having computer issues earlier.
Don't see her, but she did come back on earlier. No.
Is there anybody that's on a call in?
There's nobody else in the waiting room, but she was not excused. I believe she was here at 1 o'clock. I mean, at 12:25, and we told everybody to come back at 1.
Yeah, she texted me while we were on break.
What's 1:06?
Well, I guess I'll go ahead and call Frank Browning then.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Browning, you were sworn in earlier this morning, so you may begin, Mr. Sturmer.
Mr. Browning, can you state your full name, please?
Frank William Browning.
And you're the father of these children, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
You'd agree with me that this is the third time that the children have been removed from your care, correct?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I do apologize. Chuck, could you allow the judge a moment to admonish my client?
Yeah.
He does
Yeah,
have pending criminal.
excuse me. Let me get out. I have it here. I can say it, but let me make sure I say the exact right thing. Mr. Browning, you understand that you have the right to remain silent. Anything you can say and will be used against you, couldn't be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to speak to an attorney and have an attorney present during questioning. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be provided for you at government expense, which it already is with Ms. Cummings. You understand that, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Browning. Go on, Mr. Sturmer.
You'd also agree with me that this is the second case where at least one of your children has tested positive for methamphetamines. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any explanation for how your children continue to test positive for methamphetamines?
I'm not going to sit here and make excuses, sir. All I can say is I've made bad decisions in the past, and I'm trying to be a better person now.
Okay, so is that your admission that you were using methamphetamines at the time of the removal?
I mean, I failed a drug test, so obviously.
Okay. When was the last time you used?
Hold on, Mr. Sturmer. Here comes Miss Gardner. You want to call her next? Put Mr. Browning on hold. You want to just come on with Mr. Browning?
I'll just continue with Mr. Browning.
Okay, thank you.
When was the last time you used methamphetamines?
Close to 10 months ago.
Okay. So can you explain then how you tested positive for methamphetamines on up to October of 2024?
No, I can't, sir, because that's why I was so confused about that, because I haven't used any methamphetamine since before I was arrested and before my children were removed.
Okay. When was the last time that Stephanie Polk used methamphetamines to your knowledge?
Around the same time.
Okay. Are you affiliated with any gangs?
No, sir.
I received a picture of you earlier, and I noticed some interesting tattoos. Some of these appear to be white supremacist or Aryan Brotherhood style tattoos. Are you saying that you're not a member of any of those affiliations?
Yes, sir, that's what I'm saying.
Okay. Do you have any tattoos on your arms?
Yeah, I have tattoos. I've had tattoos since I was in high school.
Can you show the court your tattoos? Okay. What about the other arm? Okay, what's the swastika for?
Just something I got when I was younger.
Okay. So that's not any relation to any Aryan Brotherhood membership or other white supremacist group?
No, sir.
Okay. So who was explain what you were doing the day of this drive-by shooting?
What I was doing, at what moment?
Well, there was maybe some confusion or allegation that you had gotten in an argument with somebody that day, which ultimately led to that shooting. And so I'm just trying to figure out your version of that story.
I went by somebody's house to look at a car and had a gun pulled on me.
Sorry, I mean, why would somebody pull a gun on you?
I don't know. I've never met him before in my life.
So you're telling me that you go to look at a car that you're going to purchase and somebody just randomly pulls a gun on you?
Yes, that's what I'm telling you.
Okay. And so at that point, do you leave?
Yes.
And where do you go from there?
Went home.
And what time did you get home?
I don't remember exactly what time it was, sir.
I mean, is this morning, afternoon, night, just kind of a general time frame?
That evening, later on.
Late evening, you say?
Yeah.
Okay. And so how long after that does the shooting occur?
I think like an hour and a half.
Okay. Do you know, did you see the vehicle?
No, I did not see the vehicle.
Okay. Do you have any information about who was responsible for the shooting?
Just what I found out after they were arrested.
So who is it that shot up your house?
All I remember are the last names, Fontaine, Chambers, and Darley.
And none of these people are acquaintances or people that you knew?
No.
Okay. Has there been any other drive-by shootings in your neighborhood?
Yeah. There was actually one just not very long ago since I was incarcerated, actually.
Okay. Were you involved in that at all?
How was I involved in that? I was incarcerated.
I mean, was it something that you knew about, or did it involve your family?
No, I just heard about it.
Gotcha. Okay. What are you currently incarcerated for?
Manufacturing delivery.
And can you explain, because there seems to be also some confusion about your current charges, is this a new charge or is this a revocation, or both?
Revocation.
Okay, when was the initial charge?
2017.
2017, and so they've now filed a probation revocation, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And that's the only.
And I think I have.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I have a newer charge too. From my understanding,
So
I haven't. Excuse me.
What's the newer charge then?
Manufacturing delivery.
Oh, okay. Okay. What was the reason why your probation was revoked?
I believe this new charge plus lack of payment.
As part of your probation, you were to pay monthly fees. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And I'm assuming you're also required to drug test and alcohol test for your probation officer?
Drug test.
They didn't alcohol test you at all?
No.
Okay. Did you test positive for your probation officer on any drug tests?
I think once or twice. I don't know. I haven't. I mean, I honestly couldn't tell you. It's been a while. It's been a while since I've even been on probation. I've been violated for a while. I've just been waiting to go to court.
Okay, so when's your next court date then?
I don't have one yet.
Okay. If revoked and ultimately sentenced, what did you initially plead to?
Well, I was on 10 years probation.
Okay. So it was a 10-year sentence, probated for 10 years?
10 years probation, yes.
Okay. At the time of the removal, it's my understanding that it was your mother, father, you, Miss Polk, and Miss Hutton all living in the home. Is that correct?
Okay.
Was there any other persons living in the home?
David was there occasionally.
Who is David?
He was Ashley's babysitter.
What did you say? I didn't understand.
Ashley's babysitter.
Okay.
And so were the other members of the home also using methamphetamines?
Which other members?
Any other members?
I plead the fifth.
Not sure that's an incriminating.
Can't plead the fifth on that one.
Yeah, well, I don't know what everybody else was. I know my parents weren't. Stephanie had. I'm sure David had.
Were y'all using together?
Occasionally.
And where would y'all use whenever y'all did use?
Garage.
Anywhere else?
No, mainly the garage.
Okay. And your children had access to the garage?
No, sir.
So is the garage a separate structure from your home?
Well, no.
So it's all connected, correct?
Yes, sir.
So are you saying that over the course of your children's lives that they've never gone into the garage, or are you just saying that you weren't using with the children in the garage?
I can count maybe twice that my children have been in the garage.
And you're with your children 24 hours a day?
Majority of the day whenever I wasn't working. And of course whenever I was using, I don't use in front of my children.
Okay.
I did not use in front of my children.
Has there ever been any domestic violence between you and Miss Polk?
No, sir.
There was an incident, I believe it was in the prior case in 2022, where it was alleged that you put your hands around Miss Polk's throat, and the police were ultimately called, but she declined to press charges. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. There was a time when my dad, he has anxiety. He heard me and my wife arguing. I don't know exactly how all that escalated. Like I said, when the police showed up, I wasn't even there. Everything had already calmed down, died down. I was never even questioned for that. There was nothing ever came of that except for the CPS report.
Okay. What other criminal convictions do you have on your record?
None.
So you just have the single manufacture and delivery of a controlled substance. Is that what you're saying?
And I have a unlawful use of a firearm, unlawful possession of a prohibited firearm from years ago. And as far as I know, that is the only felonies on my record,
Okay.
except for the ones that are pending.
Now, just so I'm 100% clear, this new manufacturing delivery of a controlled substance charge, that's for, because it shows on your criminal record that you've been arrested twice for this. Is this a new charge based on new allegations?
What do you mean arrested twice? Arrested twice for the same charge?
So it shows that you were arrested for manufacture delivery of a controlled substance in 2019, and that you were sentenced to 10 years confinement, but it was probated for 10 years. And then it shows that you were arrested in March 2021 for the same charge. And it doesn't show a disposition on that. So is that an old charge that was ruled out or that was dismissed?
Yes.
Okay, so the charge that they have you on right now is a all brand new charge.
As far as I know, yes, and the MTR on the old one from 2019.
Okay, so when did they initiate this investigation on you for the new charge?
I don't know. Like I said, I mean, I've only had one court date, so I really don't have much information on it.
You have an attorney?
Yeah, I've only seen him once since I've been here.
And I'm assuming he's provided you a copy of the arrest report?
No, all I've got is one piece of paper that shows my MTR and my new manufacturing delivery.
Okay. I'll pass the witness, Judge.
Ms. San Miguel.
No questions of this witness.
Ms. Cummings.
No questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Misty.
Mr. Browning, did I hear you say your father has anxiety and that he thought he heard you choking?
I mean, I don't know what he thought he heard. He just come to find out later on, he heard us exchanging words and we were yelling at each other.
Do you recall reading in the affidavit his interview from 2022?
I don't think I ever read it, but we've discussed what was said, yes. And he said that he did say, or I guess somebody had said, I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't there whenever he made the report, so I don't know what was said.
He was sleeping, he heard arguing and a loud thump. Do you recall that, him saying that?
Yes.
And that he went to the playroom and he saw the children in the playroom. Do you recall him talking about that?
Yeah, and that's whenever we had to explain to him that I wasn't even there at that point. I don't know by the time he came out.
And at the playroom, Mr. Browning was choking Miss Polk with his bare hands. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that part.
And he yelled for you to stop and you yelled back to mind your own business to your dad?
I do not remember that part, no.
And he immediately called law enforcement.
Okay.
You don't remember any of that?
No.
So your dad saying that, you're saying later he changed his story and he didn't, or told you that?
That's the first I've actually heard details like that.
So you're saying that didn't happen that way?
Oh, for sure I'm saying that didn't happen that way.
And were your parents upset that the kids tested positive for meth in that 2022 case?
Yes.
Okay. How do they feel about the second time around this case? I'm assuming you and Stephanie told them, geez, the kids tested positive for methamphetamines in the home that they live in and own.
No.
You didn't tell them, huh? I didn't hear you.
Say that. I said they're not happy.
Okay, so they do know that their grandchildren tested positive for meth in the home that they provide.
Yes, ma'am.
And have they ever said, get out of our home?
They said if they are able to get, if they're able to get the children, I'm not going to be allowed there.
Okay, so they're okay knowing, because you've just testified you did methamphetamines in their garage, right?
Okay.
And I'm assuming, are you testifying your parents didn't know you were using?
What do you mean?
Well, did your mom and dad know that you were using methamphetamines in their garage?
No, ma'am.
I'm sorry?
No, ma'am.
Okay. But when they found out, their response as a grandparent was, if I get the kids, then you two have to move out?
I mean, I just said that I was smoking in the garage just now. No, I don't. They're not aware that I was smoking in their garage.
So your parents living in that home didn't know that there was drug use going on in the home?
Not to my knowledge, no.
How often did you smoke marijuana with your parents?
With my parents?
Yes.
I smoked with my parents once or twice when I was younger.
Okay. Well, I mean, I know your dad had his methamphetamine charge from a long, long time ago, but do you know why?
My dad does not have a methamphetamine charge.
No.
My dad's never.
Well, maybe I read it wrong. What about when's the last time you smoked marijuana with your parents?
Years ago.
Well, you've had 3 CPS cases. Has it been during your cases?
No.
Did you ask your mom and dad why they wouldn't drug test for the department?
My parents were not told to drug test for the department.
So you did have a conversation with them about drug testing, and they said they were never asked to drug test?
No. I was there the one time CPS was at the house, and they were not told to go drug test.
Did you say, gosh, mom and dad, Stephanie, I'll move out. We want our kids to go to y'all. Call the caseworker, call the investigator. Did y'all do that?
My parents have tried to get a hold of the caseworker on a few different times.
Okay. Did you know there was a CASA worker involved in the case?
Yes.
Did you know I was involved in the case?
Well, yeah.
Did you know Mr. Sturmer was involved in the case?
Yeah.
You have a lawyer, correct?
Correct.
Have you missed any court hearings?
What do you mean, have I missed any court hearing?
Have you been at all the court hearings?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me the court hearing you said, Judge, my parents want these kids. They've been calling the caseworker. They can't get a hold of anybody. Did you bring that to Judge Mabry's attention through your attorney or to yourself, to the court?
I've mentioned to my attorney a couple times that my parents want the children.
Well, did you ever have your parents show up at a hearing? Like, hey, I want my parents to be involved?
I didn't know my parents could just show up at a hearing. My parents have, from my understanding, my parents have written a letter.
To?
Request. Huh?
Who'd they write a letter to?
I don't, you'd have to ask my wife, or I'm not sure. I'm in here.
And your parents were involved in the 2022 case. They appeared on the Zoom, didn't they?
If I remember correctly, you have to remember my memory is not that great. I was involved in a bad car accident. So
when did you start using once you got the kids back in April of 23? Or did you ever stop?
I can't remember when I started again.
Okay. All right. Did anybody return gunfire or shoot a gun back at the car that drove by?
No.
Okay. All right. And the bullet, or how many times did they shoot to your knowledge?
I have no idea.
You were home, correct?
Yes,
Okay. And your kids were there, correct?
yes.
Okay. So where did Ashley and her children lived in one room of the home? Is that right?
Ashley lived in the front room.
Okay. When did she move in?
I can't remember exact dates, ma'am. Like I said, I have memory problems. I can't remember
Okay. Would it
dates.
have been this year? Or 2024?
I think so.
Okay.
Maybe,
Well,
maybe end of 2023, I can't remember. I don't know.
well, did she live with you during your second case, the 2022 to 2023 CPS case? Did Ashley and her children live in your home?
I don't believe so.
Okay. How did your children test positive in that case? Because what's been really throughout this case has been Ashley Hutton, the bed bugs, methamphetamine use that Ashley brought this on. How'd your kids test positive in that case if she wasn't around?
I'm not sure, ma'am. I believe only one of my kids tested positive in that case, and they were in separate houses then. When they were originally removed, they were in separate foster houses.
Oh, you believe in the 2022 case that there was methamphetamine use around your children once they were removed?
I didn't say that.
Okay, I misunderstood. What are you saying then?
I'm saying I don't understand. I don't know, ma'am. That's what I'm saying.
Pass the witness.
Anybody else have any questions, Mr. Brown? Mr. Brown, real quick. I'm a little bit confused about you not having a court date. Have you been revoked yet, your probation?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what was your sentence on your revocation?
I haven't been sentenced yet. I'm still awaiting the court date.
Okay, so you've basically pled true to the motion to revoke or motion to adjudicate, and you're just waiting to see, right?
I've only had a bond hearing. It's the only court date I've had.
Okay, what's your bond?
I have no bond on one charge and 25,000 on another.
No bond on the revocation?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Who's your criminal attorney?
I believe his name is Steven Strigler.
Okay. I'm also a little bit confused when you mentioned the name of two guys that were involved in the drive-by, correct?
Yes.
Were they,
Three
excuse me?
individuals.
Three, okay.
Three different, from my understanding.
Okay. So what were y'all doing in the house before this occurred? And what time did it happen at?
I remember it was after dark. I do remember that.
Okay.
I'd actually just got home from doing a mechanic because I was still doing mobile mechanicing at that time.
Was it the same day that you were talking about that when you went to look at a car and the guy pulled the gun on you? Same day?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So when the guys shot at the house, y'all were awake and everything, right?
Well, no. A lot of people were already. Most of the house was already in bed.
Okay. Did you call the police?
Yes, ma'am. My parents did.
Okay. Did y'all get a description of the vehicle that did it?
I'm not sure. I didn't see the vehicle. From my understanding is the police tracked him down just moments afterwards because apparently my house was the second house they had shot up that day.
And
They
where?
had shot up another.
Oh, excuse me, go on.
They apparently, from my understanding, we found out from law enforcement later on that they had shot up another house before they shot up my house.
Okay. And are those guys in jail now?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, that's comfortable. Okay. Where did they shoot into your house?
They shot the garage door, and Ashley's vehicle that was parked out on the street.
Any living parts of the house?
Well, it had the bullets that had come through the garage door hit the wall inside the garage, which the bedroom on the other side of that wall.
Okay, so it went through. Okay. Were any of these three guys that were arrested, were they at the place where you went to look at that car?
Yes, I found out later on, the one that was holding me, the one that pulled a gun on me earlier was, I want to say the driver of the vehicle.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure. I'm just,
Yeah.
going off what I'm in here. And
But you didn't, the other two were just random guys? Did you know them?
the first one was a random guy. I didn't know any of them.
But you'd seen him earlier that day?
Yes, when he pulled a gun on me, yes.
Yeah, but you hadn't seen the other guys?
No.
Okay. So, Mr. Browning, you're saying your parents didn't drug test for the department because they weren't asked, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
My parents have never been given a opportunity to do I guess y'all call it a family plan.
Yes.
Yeah, they've never been asked to do a family plan. So.
Okay. Mr. Browning, why, I think you're unsure when Ashley moved into the house, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, why did she move into the house? I'm sorry, go on.
I was just gonna say I was still recovering from a car accident.
Okay.
So
When was that accident, sir?
The end of 2021.
Okay. Why did Ashley move into the house?
She was evicted from her house.
Okay. And did you and Miss Stephanie know her or just you?
Just me.
Okay. How did you know Ashley from?
Just I knew her ex-husband.
Okay. And you don't know how long she lived with y'all?
Not exactly, no.
Do you know if she was
I'm
paying
not-
rent or anything?
I don't believe so.
No.
No.
Okay.
I think she helped out with a bill once or twice. I'm not.
Okay. Do you still talk to Ashley?
No, ma'am.
Has she been to see you in the jail any?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Browning, do you have any siblings, brothers or sisters?
No, ma'am.
You're an only child?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Well, I have a half sister in California, but I haven't talked to her in years.
Okay. You got any grandma and grandpa?
My grandparents are deceased, ma'am.
Okay. What about Miss Stephanie? Does she have any siblings or grandma, grandpa, or parents?
She has a brother in Arkansas that she doesn't really talk to, and a mom. I'm not sure where her mom lives. Her dad's deceased.
Excuse me. Did you say deceased?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, Mr. Browning, it appears to me that there were 6 out of adults living in the home Nobody really had a full-time job. How did y'all support 12 people?
Well, Ashley was working. I was doing, like I said, mobile mechanicking under the table. Plus my parents.
And did they
Plus,
get sort of pension or what, where do they get money from?
my dad's retired military.
Okay. Okay. Were they on y'all to get out of the house and get a job?
My dad's always been on me to get a real job. And
Talk to me about Brack and what his disabilities are.
well, Bubba, as we would call him, Bubba.
Right.
Um, he really his disability is, I'd have to say, just learning disability. You know, he's not advanced as other kids his age. He was born with club feet.
Cleft feet.
Yeah, so he was in casts. Both his legs were in casts up to his
Right.
waist for the first part of his life. So he didn't learn to crawl or nothing until later on.
What about his speech?
His speech is delayed. I mean, if you know him, you can communicate with him just fine. Bubba has his own language. It's I'm sorry. It's when I think of him, I can't help but smile. It's the love of my life right there, man.
How did the boys get bed bug bites and lice?
The bed bugs came into the picture. I'm not really sure because it didn't happen right after Ashley moved in. It happened later on, a little while after. I'm not sure if David brought him over because that was my first experience with bed bugs. So I didn't really know how they worked. Apparently they can just, hop on you and come over. You can sit on somebody's couch and get one on you and it rides with you wherever you go. And that's how it starts.
What, or how, do you know, just off the top of your head, because I have that case, but I don't have it with me. How old are Ashley's kids in relation to y'all's kids?
Just living together. They were like, they got to be like siblings while they lived together.
Are they all about the same age?
I want to say she has I think Russell's 4. Most of her kids are older.
Okay.
Like my oldest is 7. I think her oldest is 13, 12 or 13, something like that.
She didn't have any little kids?
Yeah, she had I don't know if you'd call Luna little. I don't really know how old Luna is, but she's, I think, older than Bubba. Her youngest, I think, would be Russell, and I think he's 4 or 5.
Now, going back to Brack, was he ever assessed at school for special ed, or did y'all go to any ARDs? Tell me about some of that.
I'm really not sure what they have him labeled as. Stephanie always dealt with that and the school stuff.
What did y'all do with the other two, John and Sean, when Bubba was at school?
They were at home with Stephanie or the grandparents or me.
Explain this David babysitter to me. I don't really understand that.
Well, that was actually
your own.
That was Ashley's babysitter, but that was kind of got his name as the babysitter. He babysit Ashley's kids before they even lived with us.
But then he moved in with y'all too, right?
He stayed there occasionally. Yeah, I wouldn't say he moved in. He was just there a lot.
Were him and Ashley an item?
I don't think so. I don't know.
Okay. Did he contribute anything to the home?
No, ma'am. Just help out the kids occasionally.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Mr. Browning. Anybody else have any questions, Mr. Browning? Ms. San Miguel?
Was David the drug dealer? Did he provide drugs to y'all?
I mean, he had him occasionally. I'm not going to call him a drug dealer. I never bought drugs from him.
Okay, but he provided drugs free to you,
Yes.
Ashley, and your wife? Okay,
I
so
mean,
that's why you let him stay for free?
that's not why I let him stay for free. No.
Okay. Well, Ashley was your girlfriend, and that's why you let her stay for free?
Yes, in the beginning.
And then your parents, your parents' child, so of course you and your wife and kids, they opened up their home. So that makes sense, right? So the only person that doesn't make sense is the David guy. And that's why I was wondering, is there more involved with him, or if he's the source of the drugs, the bed bugs, everything that kind of disrupted both your home and the Hutton home?
The only reason he was even in the picture was because he was associated with Ashley.
Okay. And so he's no longer in the picture with either you and your family or Ashley's family that you know of?
I can't speak on Ashley's family. I don't know. He's no longer involved with us, that's for sure.
Okay. Now, I just found out yesterday that you and Stephanie are married in a covenant marriage. Is that correct? Can you explain that?
I can explain it to you the best it was explained to me. From my understanding, it's a covenant marriage is you have to attend 6 months of marriage counseling before you can divorce.
Okay. And so that's what she was explaining to me, is that why she couldn't divorce you from any prior incident. You bringing in Ashley, you using drugs, criminal charges, anything else. So that is correct. She can't get a divorce from you?
Not until we attend some type of marriage counseling.
Okay.
Which we had only attended one session before I was arrested.
Wouldn't that only apply in the state that it applies to? Because my understanding, covenant marriage is not recognized in Texas.
Don't get me lying, I have no idea.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that, but it's your understanding that at the time before speaking to an attorney, and that you and Ashley could not divorce, and that's why you haven't divorced, although you've separated in the past, correct?
Yeah, Stephanie, yes. You said
Okay,
Ashley.
and that's when Ashley came in, was during the separation?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you think that if you were honest and forthright, like you are being today in court to your parents, that they would have kicked you out of the home and done more to get the kids?
Yes,
if
ma'am.
they knew full well of your drug use and in the home and other issues?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. Nothing further.
Anybody else?
Yes.
Okay, Miss
I'm just following up on Miss San Miguel's question. She asked you if your parents knew that about the drug use and about, I guess, Ashley, or that they would have kicked you out. And you said yes?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So in 2022, your parents knew their grandchildren tested positive for meth. Didn't kick you out, did they? Did they?
Yeah, no, they didn't.
2022, your father calls CPS and says he witnessed you choking Stephanie.
He did not call
Did-
CPS.
I'm so sorry. He called the police, excuse me. Didn't kick you out, did he?
I wasn't really living there at that time.
You weren't living in the home?
That was-
So when the kids tested positive as a result of Stephanie?
That's not what I said. I said I wasn't staying there really. I was staying there occasionally. That was during the separation that Miss San Miguel was just talking about.
Oh, okay, I thought you were talking about a separation in 24 when you moved your girlfriend in. Were you separated then
That's
too?
that's the same separation.
I'm talking about 2022. Your children tested positive for methamphetamines. Did your mother and father kick you out?
They threatened to.
Objection, non-responsive, Judge.
The same. That's a yes or no, Mr. Browning.
No, ma'am.
A year from the time you got your children back, 2024, your children test positive, 2 of the 3 of methamphetamines. Did they kick you out?
No, ma'am.
You move a woman in the home who you say, and you don't know if she brought bed bugs, whatever. Did they kick you out that you were sleeping with another woman, not your wife, as you're now testifying y'all are married, in that home that they lived in?
No, ma'am.
So tell me what the difference is in the answers to me and Miss San Miguel, because you just said, she asked you if they knew all this, would they kick you out? And you said, yes, ma'am. What's the difference?
Probably the fact that I just admitted to doing drugs in their house.
Oh, you think that your parents would kick you out because now you've admitted to using 10 months ago, right? Using drugs?
In their house. They've known I've had a drug problem.
Okay. So they didn't wonder how the kids tested positive in 22 and 24. They thought you maybe were taking the kids somewhere else and using around them, is that you weren't using in their home?
I'm not sure. I don't know what they thought, ma'am.
Well, you just told Miss San Miguel, you bet they'd have kicked me out. So I want to know, you think because now you've told that you used drugs 10 months ago, your dad would now kick you out?
Okay, maybe I'm misunderstanding the questions. I'm not sure.
That's okay. Pass the witness.
Anybody else? Mr. Browning, did your parents know you were in a relationship with Ashley?
Not at first.
Okay, then later they found out?
Yes, ma'am.
I can't understand how having your wife and your girlfriend in your parents' home would not make for some sort of marital family violence situation. How was everybody enduring all that?
I mean, at first it was, like I said, it wasn't aware that was my girlfriend at first.
Okay. Well, but then when they became aware.
I mean, there was tension. There was never any domestic violence.
How long was everybody aware that Ashley was your girlfriend before the kids were removed?
A couple months, I think.
Okay. Mr. Browning, why did y'all only pay $150 the whole time these kids have been removed for child support?
Because it's like I told CPS from the very beginning, I've been fighting disability. I've been denied twice. I've got paperwork to show that.
Okay. But it costs more than $150 to feed kids, right? At least more like 8 months, more or less a month, right?
Yes, ma'am. And I mean, we had given pull-ups and offered stuff like that to try to help out. Like I said, while I've been dealing with disability, when I was dealing with filing for disability, my parents were helping out a lot.
Okay.
Financially.
How did the grandparents let y'all, did they live like slobs? How do they let the house be so disgusting the way it sounds?
I don't know why Mr. Burgos is making the house sound like that, because the room that he is talking about that had trash all over it and was destroyed was the room that Ashley was in. And and the way he's saying it is that was after Ashley had moved all her stuff out of the house.
Okay. Well, you're aware.
They looked at
Excuse me, go on.
he looked at the room directly after Ashley moved out, before we had even cleaned it out.
But did you read the removal affidavit when the kids were originally removed?
I can't recall if I read it completely or not. I mean,
Well, would you be
the
surprised?
house itself,
Go on.
the house itself was not messy and trashed. I mean, there might have been toys and stuff, clutter. I mean, there was a bunch of kids in that house.
Right. Well, would you be surprised if I were to tell you that the affidavit that for the removal pretty much said the same thing that Mr. Burgess said about the house?
Ashley's room was pretty cluttered, and like I said, there was a lot of clutter because there was a bunch of kids in that house at one time. But as far as the trash and all that, I don't agree with that.
Okay. You don't agree with poop being on the floor, house smelling like poop, stuff like that? No?
No, Your Honor.
Okay.
And if somebody would, if you don't mind me saying, if somebody would have come back by and look at the house now that it's been remodeled,
Mm-hmm.
professionally cleaned, you would see a big difference.
I understand where you're coming from. Okay. Thank you, sir. Okay. Anybody else?
I just have two questions. I'm sorry. Sorry, let me turn that off. So October showed you and Stephanie, her on at least 3 occasions testing positive for alcohol with some pretty high levels. Who provided the alcohol?
I was only tested a couple times after rehab.
Say it again.
I had only tested. When did I test positive for alcohol?
Well, have you drank since rehab?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so you didn't have any positive for alcohol.
I don't know if I did or not. That's what I just asked you. I said,
Oh,
when did I
okay.
test positive?
I'm pulling it. It appears you tested October 9th of 24 with levels of 66,998. And it appears on October 15th, results of positive of 8,451. So October of 24, around the same time that Stephanie tested positive. My question is, as Judge Mabry asked, you paid $150 since the beginning of the case. Who had the alcohol? Who bought the alcohol?
The only time I drank one time after rehab, and that was one beer with my boss after a job that I did when I got out of rehab. I don't drink.
Okay. Well, you were in the home in October until you were arrested, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you see, and your test and Stephanie's are close to each other. Did you see her drink?
No, I did not see her drink.
Mm-hmm. So it's your testimony under oath today that you've had one beer since rehab.
Yes, ma'am. I don't drink.
And it is also your testimony under oath when you went to look at that vehicle on the day of the shooting that there was no interaction. You did not know these 3. You weren't going to see them other than to look at a car.
Yes, ma'am. I've never met them before in my life until that day.
Okay. And how did you find out about the car?
A lady that was staying there. I had worked on the car for her previously.
Okay.
Like I said,
All right.
I've worked on the car previously, and then she let me know she wanted to sell it, so I went by there to look at it.
Okay. And I misspoke earlier when I mentioned your father had a conviction for meth. He had a conviction for cocaine, correct?
No, ma'am, it wasn't cocaine either.
Okay, what was it? Apparently, you know.
I don't know of my father having any drug charges.
Okay, pass witness.
Anybody else? Okay, we're gonna take a 5-minute break and let me go in the breakout room, Miss Simpson with the lawyers and Casa, and bring y'all's calendars. Okay, go on, Mr. Sturmer. Next witness, please.
I'd like to call Melina Gardner. She's here.
She's here.
Can you unmute yourself, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me now?
We
Yes,
can
sir.
hear you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right. Can you state your full name, please?
Melina Adrian Gardner.
And you were the investigator in this case, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And I understand that there was a couple other investigators involved, but you were the primary investigator, is that right?
Yes.
When did the department first get involved with the Browning family?
With the Browning family in April of 2024.
Okay. There was a prior intake before that, though. Is that correct?
Yes, that was for Ashley Hutton.
Oh, okay. Okay. What was the reason for the department's intake for this case?
Physical, the one with Ashley or the one for Miss Polk?
Polk.
Initially, we went in for the Hutton home, and then there were other children in the home. So it was a physical neglect is what we went in there for. And then seeing the conditions of the home, actually seeing the children in school, you know, with the bites on them, the department, because they're living in the same household, it became a companion case. So she was pulled into the case as a result of Ashley Hutton's case.
Okay. And whenever you first got assigned to this case and you start figuring out all the players and everything, did you review the CPS history of Stephanie Polk and Frank Browning?
After I made contact with Miss Polk at the house, yes, I did.
And so you were able to see the prior removals and the other investigations, is that correct?
Yes.
And so you're also able to see that the issues that were occurring in the home were reoccurring events from the past, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Obviously, drugs were an issue in a prior case, so
Yes.
I'm assuming that whenever you saw the condition of the home, that drug use immediately went to the front of the line as a possible culprit for that type of behavior and lifestyle. Is that correct?
As a possibility, yes.
Okay. So whenever you first got involved, who all was living in the home?
It was the two grandparents. So Mr. Browning, his wife, Frank Browning, Ashley Hutton, Stephanie Polk, David, I can't remember his last name. They referred to him as the Manny, and the children, all the children.
And were you able to complete interviews with all of the home members?
No, I was able to talk with Stephanie Polk, with Mr. Browning, and Ashley Hutton. The grandfather did not interview with me. The grandmother did not interview with me. And the other adult male, David, did not interview with me.
Did you ask the Browning grandparents to interview?
Yes.
And they declined?
Yes.
So if here today they're asking for the department to consider the Browning grandparents as potential placement, would you say, going as far back in the investigation, that they were just absolutely uncooperative with you?
9 months ago, they were uncooperative. Yes.
Like, did they appear to be in denial of any of the issues going on with their son Frank and his wife Stephanie?
Absolutely. When I first came to the home, the way Mr. Browning, he ran out to the home, got in my face and was telling me that I was not coming into the home, and law enforcement luckily was there to got us into the home, told me I was not taking his grandchildren, but he was very aggressive towards me.
Did the two of you, I understand he was acting very aggressive towards you, but did he acknowledge that there were prior removals or that his grandchildren had tested positive previously?
He did not.
Okay. So you said that you did interview with Frank, Stephanie, and Ashley. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. When you discussed the bed bugs and just the cleanliness of the home, how did Mr. Frank Browning, how did he respond to that?
We didn't even discuss the conditions of the home. I talked with, it was Miss Hutton, not Miss Hutton, I'm sorry, Miss Polk, and it was about the drive-by shooting. And I never even got a chance to address the bed bugs because she hung up the phone.
Okay. Well, then what was the nature of the conversation about the drive-by shooting?
When I asked her about the drive-by shooting, she told me that she was aware of it. She told me one of the bullets flew by her so close it came through the wall, she could feel the wind from the bullet when it came through the home. And she said, when I asked her, was there a concern that they would come back? She told me no, that they were in jail, only one of them, but one of them was innocent. And he only got into the car with them, but he didn't have anything to do with it. And then she stated to me that, what's her exact verbiage, that they weren't coming back and that her children were safe. And she told me that the drive-by was because they thought Frank was a snitch.
Well, you just heard Frank Browning's testimony earlier today in which he said that he had no idea who these people were, correct?
I did.
So how do you think that Ms. Polk would know that they believed that he was a snitch?
I'm assuming that I can only assume that they knew the people.
And for the same reason, how would she know that one of the members in the gang or in the drive-by shooting was innocent?
She would have to know them to know that.
Okay. So you don't think that this was just a total coincidence as Mr. Browning testified? I
do not. And I did live documentation as I was talking to her, and those were her exact words.
Okay. Did you actually get to go in the home?
I did.
And can you describe the condition as you observed it?
The common area, the little living room, it was acceptable. It wasn't dirty. The room that Ashley Hutton was staying in, it was dirty. It was cluttered. An over excessive amount of clutter in there. The kitchen area, the kitchen floor was nasty. The sink was running over dirty dishes. The kitchen was dirty. For the amount of people that were in the home, the pantry, the trash was running over in the pantry. The children's room, there were clothes stacked up in the room that the other children stayed in. And I can't tell you what the Frank Browning and Stephanie Browning's room looked like because they locked the door, would not give me access to it when I first went into the home.
Okay. And so did you visit the home on one occasion or on numerous occasions?
Just two. The first time I went to the home, and then the second time I came to the home is when we were doing the removal.
Okay. You also heard the testimony about the issue with the other member of the department that appeared to have some kind of reaction to something in the home. Did you feel anything that you may have been exposed to whenever you were in the home?
I did not. I don't believe I was in the home as long as they were in the home. I was in and out maybe 10 minutes max the first time, and then with the removal, maybe 5 minutes. I was in and out.
Did you ask the parents to drug test?
Yes, we did.
And what was their response?
Initially, they did not drug test. They drug tested after we got the court order.
Okay. Being that they had a prior history of drug use, was it any surprise to you that they tested positive?
No.
And you're also aware that I believe 2 out of the children ended up testing positive for methamphetamines?
2 of the Browning children, yes.
Did you, whenever you observed the children during the removal, did you notice anything about the children that would cause you concern as far as being possibly under the influence of drugs?
I can't say that I did because I've never seen a child under the influence of drugs, so I don't know what a child would look like under the influence.
That's fair. Well, I know that you're just the investigator. Family.
I like her so much.
I'm sorry, I may have lost y'all.
Okay, I got quiet for a second.
Did y'all hear the question?
No, I didn't question, no.
Okay. I know that you're just the investigator and you don't get involved in the services, but given the history of this family.
I don't hear that. Y'all,
The last thing I heard was giving the history of the family, and it got quiet.
me too. Let me see if he'll pop back in.
So I don't know what's going on.
Try that question again.
Given the history of this family and the issues as you observed them during your investigation, would you have concerns if the children were returned to the care of Stephanie Polk and Frank Browning?
I would, yes.
And given the nature of the conversation you had with the Browning grandfather, would you have?
Did y'all miss that one too?
I did, but I didn't hear it.
Frozen. We lost you. Mr. Sturmer,
I'm having issues. I don't know what's going on.
say that last question again. We didn't hear it.
Would you have concerns for the children being placed with the Browning grandparents?
Absolutely, I would, yes.
Okay, and what would your primary concern be?
Because we're back in the same situation we were in 2 years ago with that removal. And it seems that nothing has changed. So if the grandparents were aware of the drug use, then aware that the grandchildren tested positive, and here we're back in the same situation. They didn't do anything to help then or to combat it. They allowed it, and now we're back in the same situation. I just don't feel like it would be a safe environment to put those children back in there.
Judge,
I hear you.
Judge, I'm going to try to connect my computer to my phone.
Okay.
I was going to suggest if it's allowed, you can try turning your camera off. Sometimes that helps with the buffering speed.
We'll allow it because we recognize his voice.
All right, can y'all hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, Ms. Garner, do you believe that the Browning grandparents will continue to put the needs and the interests of their son over that of their grandchildren if the children are placed with them?
Yes.
Okay. I'll pass the witness, Judge.
Ms. San Miguel.
Just to clarify or reiterate that this is the companion case to the Hutton case, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so is it your understanding that Stephanie Polk and Ashley Hutton are not on the best of terms?
My understanding now, once the case got started, at the beginning they were, but now, from what I understand, yes.
Okay. Were you aware of whether Ms. Polk knew of Ashley Hutton's involvement and relationship with Frank Browning at the time or not when you were the investigator?
I knew they knew about it. I don't know when she learned about it, but yes.
Okay. Now, you mentioned that the only way that Stephanie Polk would know of the drive-by shooting and the people is if she knew the people, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Well, isn't there another way to find out information if they were the victims of the drive-by shooting? They would be able to call the detective and able to get police reports and find out information. And couldn't they receive information that way?
Well, in most cases, the police department does not release open police reports on an open case, and that case was still open. So she would not have been privy to police reports.
But even if it's an ongoing case, doesn't the detective speak with the victims about it and provide, limited information for their safety?
I don't know what the detective provided to them.
Okay. So given that you don't know what they provided, that does provide another explanation as to how Ms. Polk would know about the individuals, correct?
I can't say that. I can only go off what she told me. So I don't know how she got that information.
Okay. And you said that the only serious question or issue about the home and how the case began was because of Ashley Hutton's involvement and her concerns and her bedroom, correct?
With the physical neglect, with the kids and the bug bites, bed bugs and lice, that's what initially got us involved.
Okay, and the bug bites were reported through school?
I don't remember who the reporter was. And I couldn't release that information.
Okay, so but for Ashley's involvement, then you would not have been involved in the Paul Browning case?
Right.
That's what you're saying? Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Okay, no further questions.
Okay, thank you. Miss Cummings, no questions. You're muted, Miss. You're muted.
Sorry, I thought I unmuted myself. Melina, just so I can, what the heck is, sorry, I'm gonna stop touching buttons now. Melina, just to clarify, Ashley Hutton had an open CPS case before she moved in with the Brownings, is that correct?
This case began after she was already living there.
Okay. And it was regarding her and her children. Were there, I guess, did the report have any concerns regarding the Browning children?
We knew there were other children in the home, but I had not seen those children until we got to the home. So I just had unidentified household members. So I didn't know who they were until I got to the home.
But the oldest child would have been in school, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and so, but the school didn't make a report regarding him, correct?
If they did, I couldn't release that information.
Okay, you did not receive an intake, regardless of who it was from, regarding Brack. It was
No.
only for Ashley Hutton's children.
Yes.
Okay. All right, I'll pass the witness.
Miss Misty?
When you observed the children at removal or even the first visit you went there, you saw all the kids?
Yes.
Miss Hutton's 4 and the Brownings 3?
One of the Browning children were not there.
Okay.
She went
All
to
right.
get, I believe she went to get Sean. She went to get one of them. All of them were.
Okay. All right. Did they appear well taken care of?
They were a little dirty when we went to the home. So dirty nails. Yes.
Okay. Did you see any of the bug bites on any of them?
Yes. You talking about the Browning children?
Uh-huh.
I did not see the bug bites on the Browning children, just on the Hutton children.
Okay. And did you take pictures of like the kids, the home,
Yes,
all
ma'am.
of that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'll get those. Thank you. Pass witness.
Anybody else? Miss Gardner, did you ask the paternal grandparents to submit to a drug or alcohol test?
I did not.
Okay. And let's see. Why did you ask the parents and the children to be tested?
I asked the parents to be tested. The conditions of the home, and then I looked at the history and I seen there was a history there. And just the overall, the appearance and the behavior of the parents, the way they were acting towards, they were just very secretive, very like, they didn't want to cooperate. When asked about drugs, everything was, I was shut down immediately. So just based off the history and their behaviors, we asked to be drug tested. And then, of course, the children being in the home, asked the children be drug tested after we found that the parents were positive.
Okay. How many of the Hutton children were positive?
Of the Hutton children, one. Isabella was positive for methamphetamines.
Is she older, younger? Do you know?
She was the oldest child.
Oldest, okay. Ma'am, regarding the Browning children, did you speak to any other family members or kinship or anybody regarding any family members that wanted placement of the children?
No, they suggested where the children are placed now are the ones that the family requested, the kinship that they requested them go to.
Okay. And I believe that the children had previously been placed there at another removal. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did they talk to you at all about placement with the paternal grandparents?
No.
No. And did the paternal grandparents ever call you or any other family members asking for placement of the children?
No.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Anybody have any objection to Ms. Gardner being excused? Okay, thank you, Ms. Gardner.
Objection.
You're excused.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You
Mr.
too.
Next witness.
Just briefly like to call Stephanie Polk.
Ms. Polk, you've been sworn. Go on, Mr. Sherman.
Ms. Polk, can you state your full name, please?
Stephanie K. Polk.
Did you hear that?
Have to speak up. Okay, good. That's better.
I forgot to put the microphone down. I'm sorry.
That's good.
You heard Frank Browning's testimony earlier. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
He was pretty forthcoming about his drug use, although I'm not sure he's 100% forthcoming, but he did admit that he had used methamphetamines around the time of the removal. Do you agree with his statement about that?
Yes, sir.
And he also said that you used with him. Is that accurate?
I did occasionally. Yes, sir.
Okay. So you don't deny that at the time that the removal occurred that you were using methamphetamines?
No, I don't deny that. No, sir.
Okay. You also acknowledge that your children, 2 out of the 3 children tested positive. Is that correct?
I was informed of that. Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you have any other explanation other than you and Frank Browning's drug use that could explain how the children tested positive for methamphetamines?
No, sir.
Okay. I just want to ask you about the shooting at the house. You mentioned to Ms. Gardner as she testified that the people that did the shooting thought that Frank was a snitch. How did you get that information?
That's what I was. That's what I was informed of by the detective that came and took the pictures and everything that night. Well, he didn't tell me that night, but he informed me like a couple days later.
Okay. And what about the issue with the kid that was involved that maybe shouldn't have been involved? How did you get that information?
I was told that via somebody else, I guess that knew somebody that was staying over there. That basically what had happened is he showed up the night of the shooting, and they were like, "Oh, we're gonna go up here and do whatever they said they were gonna go do," and he just happened to get in the truck, and that's just the knowledge that was given to me. I don't know that for a fact. I do know that about an hour or so after the shooting, they were arrested, and it was 3 of them. I don't know what they look like, and literally the only reason I know their names is because the detective had mentioned it or told me who they were.
Well, in the interview with Ms. Gardner, it kind of seems like you weren't really taking all of it very serious. Did you have concerns for these folks doing anything else to y'all, or did you have concerns about who Frank was associating with?
I had heard about the confrontation earlier that day, which is how the cops were sent to where the gentleman or the guys that shot at the house were at, because I'd heard that confrontation and knew where it had happened at. Well, about where it had happened at. But I don't know. The only reason I know their names is because the detective. I don't know what they look like. I just know that they came and shot at my house. I've heard 3 different excuses of why from different people, but I don't know the truth, because, somebody will tell somebody one thing and somebody will tell somebody the other, and, that kind of thing. 2 of the excuses I heard from the detective, and one of them has just been hearsay around Cove of what's been said. Do I have concern of them doing it again with them being in jail? No. And with my husband being in jail? No, I don't. Do I take it seriously? Yes. They shot at my house.
So if Frank goes to jail for say he's in jail on this revocation for several years, where will you live?
Well, as soon as I find a job, I plan on getting my own place, but I haven't worked since shortly before I got pregnant with our oldest. So I was in the process of going to college and getting my associate's degree. And because of the CPS case and ended up having to go to rehab and what have you, I was unfortunately required to drop out. I don't know if it was made to drop out, but it didn't fit into the schedule of other things I need to handle.
So you're saying that because of the CPS case, you're not able to obtain a job?
No, that's why I discontinued college. I haven't worked in almost 8 years. So even though I've applied and I've had a couple interviews, I'm not having much luck with finding a job.
Well, what kind of places have you applied to?
Movie theaters, hotels, gas stations, fast food. I mean, I'm open to anything at this point.
So you're saying that you've applied to all these places and you've been declined on every single one of them?
I've only had like 2 job interviews, yes, sir.
Okay. Well, you understand that in a CPS case like this, it's important to show the court that you have the ability to support your children as well as just be, a decent mom. And throughout this case, you'd agree that you and Frank together have provided about $150 in child support, correct?
Yes, sir. Like I said, I had to drop out of college, which was what was financially supporting myself and my children.
Well, how are you going to?
When I was in college doing financial aid.
Don't interrupt me. Don't talk over me, ma'am. How are you going to support your children if they were to be returned to you?
Well, my in-laws are willing to help me until I can finish out my degree. But like I said, I have been looking for employment.
So if your in-laws are willing to help you, then why didn't your in-laws help you pay the child support that you were court ordered to pay?
Because I didn't ask them to.
Why wouldn't you ask them to? If you have money available to you, why wouldn't you ask them to front that money for you?
Because honestly, I don't feel like it's their responsibility, especially if I would be going back to college. Like while I was in college, I financially supported myself and my children while they were still within my care.
Right, but you're not in college, are you?
No, because I went to rehab.
So you think that burdening your in-laws would be worse than supporting your children while they were in the middle of this CPS
I did not say that.
And further violating the court's order?
I did not say that.
Well, then explain to me what you mean then.
That I am seeking employment, and when I was still in college, I financially supported myself and my children. I was the only one financially supporting myself and my children on the occasional times that Frankie wasn't able to have money. Like he wasn't able to get very much. He was self-employed after having his leg completely rebuilt.
But if the children were to be returned to you, but if the children were to be returned to you, you would have your in-laws financially support you. That's what you said, right?
I said I would go back to college, which would financially support us. Right now, I am trying to seek employment.
So when would you be able to get back into college then?
Well, I've been told it's a luxury that I can't afford.
Ms. Paul,
now, so
hold on. You cut out. I didn't hear what you said.
I'm sorry. If it was something that I knew I could get back into right now, I would already been back into it. But I was told it was not a luxury I could afford right now, that I needed to try and find a job. However, once I get my associate's degree, I already have a job waiting on me over in Temple at the Temple VA.
When was the last time you used methamphetamines?
Right around the day the kids were taken.
The day of the removal?
I think the day before, yes, sir.
Okay. In 2022, in the other CPS case, you were using then as well, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And in that case, I believe at least one of your children tested positive for methamphetamines as well, is that correct?
I believe so. Yes, sir. Ouch.
And do you take responsibility for the reasons why that child or children tested positive for methamphetamines in 2022?
I'm not exactly sure why they tested positive, but I will blame myself, yes, because I could have been better and I could not have been using drugs. So yes, sir.
Okay. So can you explain to me how the court or why the court would consider to not terminate your parental rights when we literally went through this exact same scenario 2 years and we gave you another shot?
Because I honestly have changed. I don't want to go back to where I was before. Like ever. Addiction's not something that you can just turn off, honestly. And I admit I was an addict. I'm an addict in recovery, and I'm doing my hardest and my best to not be that person.
Yet you're aware that the court has a standing order against the consumption of alcohol, and despite going to rehab, you've continued to test positive for alcohol. Is that correct?
Occasionally, yes. I'm not saying that all of those are because I've drank, but I will take responsibility to say that some of them could be, yes, sir.
What do you mean you're not taking responsibility for all of them? Are you saying that the test results are inaccurate?
I believe some of them are, yes.
Okay. So are you saying that on the days that you tested positive that you had not consumed alcohol recently?
Correct. Like, I don't just sit around and drink.
When was the last time you had any alcohol?
I don't know, honestly. At least for a month.
When was the last time there was any domestic violence between you and Frank?
There hasn't been domestic violence between me and Frank.
In 2022,
We've had a couple
police
arguments.
called to your home because Frank, ma'am, don't talk over me, please. In 2022, when Frank put his hands around your neck, you wouldn't consider that to be domestic violence?
He didn't put his hands around my neck, sir.
So why were the cops called in?
My father-in-law called them. I don't know what he thought was going on, sir. I really don't.
Is your father-in-law delusional? Does he just randomly call the police because he thinks he sees things?
I mean, he has PTSD.
Has he ever called the cops on y'all on another occasion that there was no reason to?
I don't believe so, no, sir.
Okay. I'll pass the witness.
Ms. San Miguel.
Ms. Hawk, let's start with clarifying anything that needs to be clarified that we hadn't already discussed. Is there any issue in regards to let's start with the elephant in the room with the threat. Did you intend any threat or negative connotation to the post that was made on social media? I'm not even sure where it was posted.
No.
Okay. What is the basis of...
No, it was not a threat. I didn't intend it as one.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
And when it states that you hope that, everyone involved is addressed, what did you mean by that?
Like the people that shot at my house, from what I've been informed of, they've dropped charges when they clearly shot at a house that had kids in it. They brought from what I've been told by law enforcement, they brought a 14-year-old child with them. Actually, CPS called my father-in-law about a week after the shooting happened and asked if that child should be given back to the mother of that child's mother. And of course, we don't know them, so my father-in-law had to tell them that we don't know.
Okay, so do you feel like justice hasn't been served for you as a victim in the drive-by shooting case?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
No.
What about any reference to Ashley Hutton and her involvement initiation of this case?
Well, there has been violations of the protection order that haven't been dealt with that I'm aware of.
So do you feel like you haven't received justice in regards to those ongoing threats by Ashley Hutton?
No, I don't feel like I have. No, ma'am.
Okay. So since the signing of the, I believe there was a restraining order that was in place between the two families, are you aware of any violation of that?
I know that while Frank was in rehab, she used his Facebook account and kind of harassed my father-in-law because we held on to her stuff for over 7 months after she was evicted, and I finally decided it's time, we need to start cleaning it out. She's obviously not coming back. Well, she then started posting on my father-in-law's stuff saying that we were required to keep it, and that was a violation of a protection order. She even had her mom contact my father-in-law. That's a violation.
Okay, now in regards to Ms. Hutton's stuff, there is a bunch of boxes and a bunch of items that were stored in the garage, correct?
There was, yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then you heard the caseworker also testified to boxes piled high to the ceiling in the garage. Was that Ashley's stuff?
Yes.
Okay, and because of his comments, was that why you started going through her stuff to advise that she needed to come pick it up or get rid of it?
Well, I did take some of the stuff over to her lawyer's office, like birth certificates of the kids, baby books, stuff that you don't want to lose as a parent. And then the rest of it, yes, I started getting rid of it because we're not a storage unit and it's not our stuff. We don't need to just hold on to it.
Right. And that's something that you discussed through me and through the caseworker, right? As far as the important stuff, give it to her, her lawyer, to the caseworker, and anything that looked like it was dirty, used, could possibly be contaminated, to just get rid of it or donate it. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And you provided pictures and you sent emails to everybody, copied everybody, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. And then clearing out a lot of her storage and clutter from the garage also helped improve your home's environment as well, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, do you feel like Frank has been honest with you in regards to Ashley and her involvement or any ongoing involvement?
No.
Okay. And what was your understanding of any steps that you could take to leave your marriage, leave Frank? Was that an option for you that you understood?
I'm sorry, I got booted and had to reconnect.
Okay. What?
I didn't.
Okay. We were talking about Ashley Hutton and Frank, and whether you feel like he's been open and honest with you about their relationship and their involvement.
Most definitely not in the beginning, no, ma'am.
Okay. And then once you learned of it, what steps did you take to put a stop to it or leave the situation?
Well, I didn't try and leave the house because it was stable environment for my children, and not having my own vehicle or financial stability. I didn't try and leave the house, but I did try and save my marriage to an extent. I did try to get her out of the house.
Okay. And then your dependence on Frank or Frank's family that's providing housing, and like I said, you don't have transportation or a job. Was that a way that Mr. Browning was able to step on over you and have his cake and eat it too, so to speak, because you couldn't leave?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And do you understand and recognize that now?
Yes.
How far along are you in school?
I think, well, since I had to drop out, I'm probably like a semester and a half.
A semester and a half in, or a semester and a half away from graduating?
I would think about a semester and a half, maybe 2 from graduating. I was about almost halfway into it.
Okay. And then you said that the last time that you worked was prior to having your oldest child. Is that correct? About 8 years ago?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And is the number one reason that you're being given for not being employable is because of lack of recent employment?
I've only had 2 interviews, but yes, it was basically that I didn't have the experience that I guess was necessary or they wanted.
Okay. And any experience you have would have been too old or from 8 years ago, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have similar friends that are have been the primary caregiver of the children and have difficulty entering the workforce?
No, ma'am. I've basically cut off all my friends, or well, people that you would have thought would be friends, because once you decide to make life changes, you find out who people really are.
Is there anything else that you feel the court needs to know about your situation?
Not off the top of my head at this moment, no, ma'am.
Okay, I'll pass the witness. It looks like my video may be going out, so I may have to go off for a little bit.
That's okay. We're about done anyway. Good timing. Ms. Cummings, any questions of Ms. Pollock?
Your Honor, if I can reserve, or if I could reserve any questions for whenever we come back.
Okay, we can stop. Okay, parents, y'all have service plans. You have to comply with your service plan, or your parental rights could be subject to termination. Let me look at my docket sheet. I've written down some stuff. We, attorneys and CASA met in the breakout room. And Ms. Hernandez, I did confirm this with Ms. Greenwald via text. So y'all will need to get together and do y'all's deal and talk. Thank you for coming today, and glad everybody got to stay in because it was cold today. So everybody's appreciative of that. We have an agreed recess until January 21st of 2025 at 1:45 p.m. That'll be via Zoom. Ms. Cummings, you'll need to make arrangements with Mr. Browning in the jail to have Mr. Browning present again. I'm going to order that all drug and alcohol results are to be obtained and circulated to all parties before the trial. That is to be done by CPS. That was pretty much what I ordered Mr. Burgess to do at the break time, one of the things. So y'all should have all those back and figure out why the delay on Ms. Pollock's test. I also want the county attorney to confer with the district attorney in Coryell County about Mr. Browning's criminal case, the status of it, criminal cases, and report that to us on 1/21/24. I'm also going to order CPS and ad litem, say that they have 24/7 access to the home, and each are to visit the home before 1/21/24 unannounced and to take pictures. So those are my orders, and y'all got Miss. I know Mr. Browning is in jail and can't really do much on a service plan, but Miss Polk, you still have to test. You still have to go to your counsel. You still have to do everything that you've previously been ordered to do. Yes, Mr. Browning.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir. Be careful what you say.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna ask, make a request, about my service plan.
Yes, sir.
Would it be possible, because I was really making, despite what anybody may think, I really was making progress with my therapist,
Okay.
and it really was helping. If there's any way I could continue to have sessions with him while I'm in here, that would be great and greatly appreciated. It really helped me mentally.
Okay. Hold on a sec. I'll get that. Okay. Within 24 hours, CPS caseworker is to contact Mr. Browning's therapist and then the Coryell County Jail to see if Mr. Browning can continue, if that therapist can continue to provide Mr. Browning with the services while he's incarcerated. Okay. And report binding to all parties. Okay.
Your Honor, may I ask, did you say specifically announced or unannounced for the visit to the home?
And that y'all can go over there whenever y'all want, 24/7, just like every other case.
Thank you.
Unannounced. Unannounced. And I don't think everybody needs to go together at this. I mean, y'all can go together, but I don't think everybody just needs to say, okay, we're all going over there X day. I think y'all need to make different arrangements. If you need to wear a mask or hazmat, I don't know what you need to wear, but just plan accordingly based upon your beliefs and how you feel. Okay. Okay, Mr. Hernandez, once again, thank you. Getting off early today, that's good. And we'll see y'all on January 21st. Thank you. That's for the day. Thank you.